The war, World War I. This is a good one. When people jealously defend the U.S. Constitution, think about this for a second. Which amendment do you think people will go to the wall to defend? They'll die to defend it. The first. That's our basic rights. Okay, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, and especially freedom of speech. That's the basic right, okay? No one had ever challenged the First Amendment freedom of speech. You can say what you want to until this. So when you see Schenck, think freedom of speech, okay? This is the famous clear and present danger, okay? It is going to limit free speech. If anything you say presents a clear and present danger to society, it is not protected by the First Amendment. This court case has been tested a lot of times. Anything you say presents a clear and present danger. If you put people in danger by something you say, what you say is not protected by the First Amendment. And remember the example they gave about the crowded theater? If you're sitting in a crowded theater and somebody stands up and yells fire, and people die from the stampede to get out, the guy that yelled fire, yelling that is not protected by the First Amendment, okay? Sometimes people want to challenge these things. And I remember a case in Mississippi where a black guy wanted to see how much protection he had. So he went to a Klan meeting, walked right up into the middle of the Klan meeting, okay, and started cussing every white person in sight in a Klan meeting. What happened to him? He got the snot beat out of him, okay? And then he went and sued. And he went and sued that his right to free speech was being violated. And the court threw it out because of that, okay? It was funny because there was another one happened in Arkansas, just the opposite, okay? A white guy went to the meeting of the NAACP. And when he got in there, he started letting the N-word fly like crazy, okay? And as you might expect, he got the snot beat out of him and he sued. He's saying, hey, that's not right of free speech. If you go, first of all, you don't have the right to be stupid, okay? If you go in and say something like that, you are presenting a clear and present danger to yourself, okay? So when you say something that's dangerous like that, it causes bodily harm to yourself or someone else, it's not protected by the Supreme Court, okay?
And I use the example of nowadays you kids know that if you go on an airplane, you can't talk about bombs and you would be totally removed from the airplane, right? Probably banned from that airline. And it is their right because your words were causing danger to the passengers by fear.
You guys
so
remember...
you can't do that.
God, it's Jacob Swartoff's cousin, Diana Durkin. You guys remember Diana? If you knew her, you would. Okay? Diana went to Texas Tech. And this was a big deal, actually. She made the Fox News on this one. Okay? She was standing in line at the airport in Texas, I think it was in Dallas, okay? Standing in line, and she saw another person with a Texas Tech sweatshirt on. So what do people from Texas Tech do when they see each other? Guns up.
Oh,
you don't do that in an airport. Okay? They thought that she was giving a signal to start shooting people. So they arrested her. Okay? And it was funny because Mrs. Square was sitting home and got a phone call. Mrs. Police, Diana Durkin in jail. Why? Because I gave the guns up in the airport and they arrested me. And sure enough, she was on the evening news. She was on the Fox News website. She was on the Fox. I think she was interviewing her. And of course, this is what Diana said. Okay. I didn't know. I'm just a dumb blonde. Okay? Dumb blonde is a stereotype, except in Diana's case. Okay? But it was funny because the thing about it is she was saying, I have the right to do this. Not in an airport. You don't. Okay? God. See Jacob Swartoff. Ask Jacob about his cousin. Watch him run away from him. Okay? Okay. Here we go. It's New Deal time. Guys, I don't know if you'll see these court cases on the test, okay? It's just good to know if you do. And it's especially good if you're writing an essay to put them in there. Anything like that gets you extra points. Readers on the essays want to know, do you know your stuff? Okay? So in addition to how you put your essays together, and you guys are really good essay writers, knowing your stuff counts a lot. Okay? So if you write an essay talking about how the NRA and NRA were declared unconstitutional, if you drop this in there, that's points. Okay? So basically speaking, that's what it did. Okay? It invalidated the NIRA, which is part of the New Deal. Of course, all of those NRA codes, okay, they carried the force of law. And because of that, and because Roosevelt's executive branch made the codes, it violated separation of powers. The only branch of government that can make law is Congress. Okay? And this violated it. That's why they overturned it.
Mr. Scalia?
Yeah.
Is this the one with the sick chicken?
Yeah, this is the sick chicken case. Yeah. I don't think you'll hear that either. But I guess the reason is if you read an excerpt and somebody refers to the sick chicken case, that's what this is. Okay? Because if we don't mention this in class, guess what's going to happen on the test? You'll see sick chicken all of this taking place. Okay? So this is the sick chicken case. Okay? Here's one that you always pair with this one. Butler. No, this is not Mrs. Butler. Because God knows what that court case would be about. Okay. This one's going to invalidate the AAA. Okay. This is the one where they were going to pay farmers not to plant by taxing the processors. And the court came back and said that the government can't do that, only the states can. Okay? So it's a violation of the 10th. Always put these two together. And the reason is they're New Deal. They're about the constitutionality of the New Deal. One more thing about these two court cases that may matter to you, okay? These court cases made Roosevelt mad. What did these two court cases cause him to do that was a huge mistake? Pack the court. That's important.
Try to.
Yeah, try to pack the court. Yeah. If he wants to guarantee constitutionality, he can either make his laws constitutional or he can make sure that the court won't find them unconstitutional. So that's why he's trying to pack the court. Okay, is everybody good? Almost done. Okay. You have not heard about this one yet. Okay, we haven't talked about it yet. Okay, we're going to mention it now because in about 2 weeks you know what this is. Okay? If someone gets arrested and they cannot afford an attorney, okay, the state must give them legal representation. That's why we have public defenders. Okay? So if you cannot afford an attorney, that does not mean that you're denied jurisprudence. Okay? So what Gideon says is, if you can afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you. And that's a Sixth Amendment right.
The Sixth Amendment says you have the right to an attorney, but it didn't specify
Right.
that you will have one
Right.
provided if you cannot
it
afford
didn't
one.
mention any type of monetary situation.
Right.
These court cases start getting fun after this because they start getting modern. Okay? So everybody gets so far.
Is this only for citizens?
What's Wayne?
Is this only for citizens, or is this like for?
Yes, for citizens. Yeah. Because the Constitution covers only American citizens as of right now. Okay. Okay.